Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to the first episode of the series In Pursuit of Purpose. Now, that's the overarching title of the series. That's the broad kind of heading, if you like. And we'll be discussing various topics under the concept of In Pursuit of Purpose, because we all want a sense of purpose. Even if we feel we have one, we want to enhance it. We want a greater sense of purpose. So we're going to be discussing various topics that enhance our ability to connect with the greater sense of purpose. What is the first topic? I'm not going to tell you right now. I'm going to kind of unpack it by asking a few questions. What is the one thing in this world that everyone is looking for, everyone is seeking, but very few people actually find? Books have been written about it. Scholars are lecturing on it. Scientists are doing studies on it. The UN has even declared an international day on it. Google Analytics will tell you that it's the most searched for word, whether it's rich, poor, whether it's the talented or powerful, the achievers or non-achievers, the ones on the top of the ladder, the ones at the bottom of the ladder. Everyone is searching for it. What is this one thing? Happiness. Yeah, that's what it is. Happiness. Everyone wants to be happy. I have yet to meet a person who says, no, I don't want to be happy. And I don't think you'll meet such a person. If you do, they have to go for a bit of a checkup to see if everything's okay upstairs, right? If they say they don't want to be happy. I think everyone wants to be happy, and everyone is seeking greater happiness, even if they have some degree of happiness. We also judge things in terms of how happy it will make us. So it's this big goal that everyone has on earth, everyone without exception, but very few people actually find it to an adequate extent, to the required extent. It remains elusive for many people. So in pursuit of your purpose, you've got to understand what happiness is and how you set yourself on the course to find happiness. And that's why we start with this topic under the series of In Pursuit of Purpose. In order to understand happiness, we've got to try and answer 4 questions. The first is, why is happiness so elusive? Why is it so hard to find? I mean, if we agree on what I've said thus far, that is elusive, the question would be why. The second question then would be, what is happiness? The third question would be, what does happiness comprise of? And the fourth question then would be, how do we choose to be happy? So let's commence with the first question. Why is happiness elusive? The simple answer is happiness is elusive because our approach towards securing happiness is wrong. We are searching for happiness in the wrong places. We are looking for happiness in a bigger house or in a smarter car or in cooler technology. You know, I need to have the latest iPhone. You get some people, they just upgrade every year for the sake of it. No real need, right? No real need, but I just need to have the coolest gadget. I need to go for holiday where so-and-so went for holiday. I need that job. I need that position. I need, that, bag or shoe or whatever the case may be. We're chasing what the experts call the next syndrome. You think your happiness is in the next thing that you're trying to achieve. So you may have achieved a lot of things, but you're still not happy, or you're still not as happy as you could be, and you think, yeah, you know what, when I get that, I'll be happy. Let me give you an example. When we're growing up, we sometimes get frustrated by the rules and regulations, the limitations and restrictions that our parents put in place, right? And we think, I can never be happy whilst I'm living in my parents' home. They got this rule and this limitation and that restriction. When I become an adult and I'm independent, that's when I'll be happy. That's what we assume, right? So that's our next goal. That's what we're chasing. Now when we get there, we say, hey, you know what? I got to have a job, and I got a boss, and I got this, and I got that. No, maybe when I get married, that's when I'll be happy. So that's your next goal now. You're chasing that next. When you get married for 6 months, you're in a honeymoon phase, everything's hunky-dory, going well, and then it kind of plateaus, stabilizes, normalizes. Now you think to yourself, no, man, maybe I'll truly be happy when I become a parent. Yeah, the child that came from me, that is something that will make me truly happy. When the child is born, wow, euphoric, man. Perhaps even more elated and happy than you were at the time when you got married. And then late nights, baby's crying, baby is crabby, baby's nappy needs to be changed at awkward times, baby is troubling, baby is sick. Now you say, no man, hey, what's happening here? I don't know. Maybe I'll be happy when I get a promotion. Maybe I'll be happy when I buy my first house. Maybe I'll be happy when I buy that car that I always wanted. Look, anything that you achieve, any milestone, after a while, it's going to plateau. It's going to kind of stabilize. You can, from the time you're a kid, you can have a picture on the wall of, say, I don't know, a Ferrari. That's a car I want to drive one day. If perchance, some 30, 40 years later, you end up buying that Ferrari, for 6 months, it drives like a Ferrari. After that, it drives like a normal car. That's just life, right? Your whole life, you work towards your own house. When you get your own house, yeah, you're good. After that, it becomes normal. It normalizes. So that's one of the reasons that happiness is so elusive, because we're chasing the next. They call it the next syndrome. And we fail to realize that happiness is not in material possessions. Material possessions will give you a temporary boost of pleasure. It'll bring you what they call superficial happiness. Then after a while, you start becoming bored. Sometimes you see a man with the most beautiful wife, and then he cheats on her. And you think, but why, man? Half the men I know will die to have a wife like him. Well, that's what happens, right? The glitter looks like gold. And when you have gold, then you think somebody else has got something better than you have. So another reason is that we focus not on what we have. We focus on what we don't have. We focus not on what we have, but we focus on what we don't have. And that's the reason why happiness eludes us. So I can say, hey, I live in a house, but I wish I lived in a mansion. I got a car, but hey, I wish I had, I don't know, a Land Rover. Yeah, I go for holiday, but I wish I could go for an international cruise, right? So I'm focusing on what I don't have. I'm not focusing on what I have. That there are so many people living in refugee camps who don't have a meal. My three meals a day are kind of guaranteed, right? I'm complaining that my car is a bit old, but there are people who have to walk to work or catch a bus to work every day. I'm complaining that I don't have the latest model cell phone, right? But somebody else can't afford any cell phone. So we don't focus on what we have. We're always focusing on what we don't have. We're looking at the negatives, what's not working out, what's not happening, what's not fulfilled on my wish list. Sometimes we live in the past. We don't learn from the past. We live in the past. And we obsess over the future. We fret over the future. And as a result, we lose out on enjoying the present. We're not happy in the present, right? We kind of like, no, man. Hey, that happened. And that one did that to me. Hey, if that happens, what if that happens? So that happened, and what if that happened, and what if you're obsessing over the past, you're fretting over the future, and you're missing out on the present. Enjoy that meal in front of you today. Enjoy that kid of yours today. Enjoy the fact that you have a car today. Enjoy the fact that you have food today. So those are some of the reasons in terms of why happiness is elusive. We're chasing the next. We focus on what we don't have rather than what we do have. And we fail to realize that the glass is half full, not half empty. And we obsess so much over the past and the future, we miss out on the present. The second question then is, what is happiness, right? If you look at what the scholars of Islam say on the one hand, and if you look at what psychologists say on the other hand, and if you merge the two, they come with the following definition. It boils down to this. Happiness is the consistent mental and emotional state of well-being. Happiness is the consistent mental and emotional state of well-being. It has more to do with your internal condition than it has to do with your external circumstances. There's a beautiful quote that reads, happiness is not a destination that you arrive at, it's a manner of traveling. Happiness is not a destination that you arrive at, it is a manner of traveling. So your happiness is based solely on your decision to be happy. And that could be the most important decision that you take in your life. So we need to stop searching for happiness. When you're searching for it all the time, that's when you become happy, because you're either searching for it in the next, or you're searching for it in something that you don't have, or you're searching for it in something which is not realistic for you to achieve. Happiness, though, is a choice. It's a choice. And you have to choose to be happy. You have to choose to be happy. The third question then would be, what is happiness made up of, right? So psychologists tell us that happiness is made up of three things. The first of those three things brings you 50% of happiness. The second brings you 40%. And then the third brings you 10%. What is the first? The 50%? Genetic. Some people are genetically just more happy-go-lucky than others, right? What is the 40%? It's actions that you do. What's in your control. And what's the 10%? Circumstances around you over which you have no control. So think about it. 50% is genetic. You have no control over it, right? 10% is circumstances. You don't have any control over it. But 40% is what you choose to do or what you choose not to do, and that is pretty much in your control. So the 60% is out of your control. You apply rada bil qada, acceptance of fate, and being happy with the decree of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. That's what Allah chose for me. The other 40%, that is where you need to make an effort. But the fact that the 60% is taken out of our control is actually to an advantage. Because today researchers and psychologists are saying the immune system works better when you don't have a choice. When you have too much of a choice, life becomes more complicated. So if Allah has already chosen certain circumstances for you, Allah has already chosen for you a certain genetic makeup, then you accept that Allah knows best. And you move on and you focus on the 40%. Hence, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us the dua, Allahumma qanni'ni bima razaqtani. That, oh Allah, whatever sustenance you have given me, grant me contentment therein. Let me be happy with your decree. Wa barik li fi, and put blessings in it for me. وَاخْلُفْ عَلَى كُلِّ غَائِبَةٍ لِي بِخَيْرٍ. Then grant me something better for whatever you did not give me. Grant me something better for whatever you did not give me. So our focus should not be on the 60% that's out of our control. There you accept your fate and the decree of Allah. You should be focusing on the 40% that is within your control. We take a break. When we come back, we continue. Welcome back. So, in pursuit of purpose is the theme of this series, and the first topic that we are discussing is happiness, right? Now, I explained up front that happiness is the most elusive thing in the world. Everyone is searching for it, very few people find it. And the reason for that, we're chasing it in the next. We're not looking at what we have now. We focus on what we don't have rather than what we do have. We obsess over the past and the future. We don't enjoy the present. The second question is that we answered is, what is happiness? The consistent state of mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. You will have your ups and downs, but on a consistent basis, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, you're in a good state. And the third question is, what does happiness comprise of? And we explained that it comprises of 50% genetics, so that's out of your control. 10% circumstances which are out of your control, so 60% is out of your control. 40% is related to what you do and what you don't do, and therefore you should focus on that 40%. The other 60%, accept the decree of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, accept it as fate, and focus on that accordingly. Now we come to the fourth question, because remember I said one of the reasons that we are not happy is because we're searching for happiness. We're searching for happiness, whereas in reality, you've got to choose to be happy. Right? Happiness is a choice. You've got to choose to be happy. So now let's unpack that question. How do you choose to be happy? How do you choose to be happy? So that's the fourth question, right? The first was, why is happiness so elusive? The second one is, what's the definition of happiness? What does it comprise of? The third one, and how do you choose to be happy? Now, in terms of answering this question, how do you choose to be happy? There are again four parts. The first is faith, iman. The second is family. The third is community. And the fourth is yourself. Let's start with faith, because it's the most important factor. See, this is a very important principle that we've got to understand. If Allah is happy with you, you will be happy. If Allah is not happy with you, you'll never be happy. If Allah is happy with you, you will be happy. If Allah is not happy with you, you will not be happy. That is the formula. If you can internalize that formula, then you will be happy no matter what the circumstances are in your life, no matter what life gives you or deprives you of, no matter what people perceive you to be or not to be. If Allah is happy with you, you'll be happy. And if Allah is not happy with you, then it will be very difficult for you to be happy. So that's why faith is the first of the four components when it comes to the happiness portfolio, right? Even today, Western, non-Muslim writers, what do they say? They say that the biggest reason for suicide in the Western world is that people don't believe in a greater being. They don't believe in a being that's higher than them, that's bigger than them, that's greater than them. And Islam has always given us the greater being, Allah. From the time of Adam alayhi salam until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one consistent message, Allah. So the scholars remind us that it's critical for us as humans and as Muslims more particularly to remember that we are a combination of body and soul. We are a combination of body and soul. Right? There are two components to a human, ruh and jasad, body and soul. The body is this, right? And the soul is internal. We can't see it, we don't know too much about it. The Quran says, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They ask you about the ruh. قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Say that the ruh is from the command of Allah. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. And I haven't been given too much of knowledge with regards to the ruh. So, what was created first? The ruh was created first. Remember the verse of the Quran? Alastu bi rabbikum. Allah asked us all, asked our souls when we were in the realm of the souls, am I not your Rabb? Qalu bala. We said, oh Allah, indeed you are. Remember Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam proclaimed the Hajj. وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. That he called out, and whoever responded with labbaik at that time will go for Hajj as many times as they responded. So the soul was created first. When our mothers conceived, it was just a lump of flesh. When the soul was blown into that lump of flesh, it became a baby. Right? When the soul is removed, remember we discussed this in the series on death. When the soul is removed, then that's death. But the soul doesn't die. The body, yes, becomes lifeless. The soul continues into barzakh. So the soul is more important. The soul is more important. Now, if we look at it, the majority of our time, our energy, and our money and resources is spent on nourishing the body. Food for the body, clothing for the body, massage for the body, health treatment for the body, relaxation and leisure for the body, holiday for the everything, right? The majority of it. How much of effort are we making on our soul? So what happens? You end up with a body that is overnourished. You're overfeeding your body, you're overindulging your body, and you have a soul that is undernourished. So internally, there's an imbalance. Internally, there's an imbalance. So what happens? You feel hollow inside. Now, you're not happy, you're not content, but you don't know why. There's nothing wrong with you physically, there's nothing wrong with you psychologically. They ran all the tests. There's nothing wrong with you in a metaphysical sense. You went to the amil, no jinn, no jadoo. Now you think to yourself, but why? Because you're not nourishing your soul. Your faith is weak. The food of the soul is your salah, your dhikr, your remembrance of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, your compliance and your obedience to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But because that's not happening, your soul is undernourished and your body is overnourished. It creates an imbalance in between, that hollow, and that's where you then find that emptiness. So the irony is we spend most of our time and resources and energy on nourishing the body and very little on the soul. Now Islam has taught us you need to connect your soul to Allah. You need to connect your soul to Allah. And if Allah is happy with you, then you will be happy. If Allah is not happy with you, then you won't be happy. As far as deen is concerned, right? Because now the four parts to happiness, faith is the first part. There are various concepts in our deen that teaches us how compliance to your religion will actually result in happiness. And what our religion prescribes, or the ingredients that Islam gives, let's call it the ingredients that Islam gives for happiness. The first is optimism, right? To be happy, you've got to practice optimism. You can't be a grumpy chacha, you can't be a mother grande, you can't be a complaint box. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, famous hadith in Sahih Muslim, عجبا لأمر المؤمن. How wonderful is the affair of a believer. إن أمره كله خير. Everything happens, whatever happens to the believer, there's goodness in it. If وليس ذلك لأحد إلا للمؤمن. And that is not for anyone except for a believer. Non-believers don't have this advantage because they don't have the right belief set. إن أصابته سراء شكر فكان خيرا له. If something good happens, he makes shukr and Allah rewards him. وإن أصابته ضراء صبر فكان خيرا له. But if something bad happens, he makes sabr and Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala rewards him. So it's a win-win situation for a believer. Imagine if more people in this world align themselves with this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You would have more optimistic people. And then the world needs more optimistic people. There's a profound quote that says, the quality of your life is connected to the quality of your thoughts. The quality of your life is connected to the quality of your thoughts. There is always a reason to be optimistic. There's always a reason to be optimistic. We just need to fix our mindset. Our mindset. That's what Islam teaches us. Listen, it's a win-win for you as a Muslim. Something good happens, you make shukr to Allah. Something bad happens, you bear it patiently, anticipating a better outcome from Allah, but accepting the decree of Allah as long as that better outcome doesn't come. Right? So you're in a win-win. If you're in a win-win, you've got to have an optimistic approach towards life. The great Sahabi, Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he lost his eyesight. Now, it could be argued that from a physical perspective, the biggest setback in the life of a person would be to lose your eyesight. Right? It's worse than losing your ability to speak or losing your ability to hear or to smell or whatever else, any of the other senses. But when he lost his eyesight, naturally, he wasn't elated about it. He would have wished that it wasn't that. But he was reciting couplets, the crux of which was, if Allah removes the light from my eyes, my tongue and my ears still have light in them, my heart is intelligent, and my mind is still sound. He accepted the decree of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He accepted the decree of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So he was saying, listen, I know I got a setback here, but I got to focus on everything else that's going good in my life. So if Allah has taken away one faculty of mine, there are other faculties which Allah will give me. The second ingredient that faith gives you in terms of the pursuit of happiness is an attitude of gratitude. That's what Islam advocates. Because otherwise, you'll never be grateful. You'll always perceive yourself not to have something that you would want to have. Listen, ask yourself, if somebody comes here with a whole table full of gold and they say, give me your eyes, will you give it? No. So what does it mean? What's the value of your eyes? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man asbaha minkum aminan fi sirbi, mu'afan fi jasadi, indahu qutu yawmi, faka'annama hizat lahu dunya. If you wake up in the morning and your property is secure, you have food for the day, it is as if Allah has given you the whole world. If you wake up in the morning, everything's good in your body, you've got provisions for the day, you're safe, then it's like you've been granted this whole world and whatever it contains. We have no right to feel deprived. There was a sailor who was lost at sea for 21 days and then miraculously was rescued. Imagine being lost at sea for 21 days. When they asked him, after he'd recovered and recuperated, that listen, what was the greatest lesson you learned from this ordeal? You were alone for 21 days in the middle of the sea. Right? At some point, he must have thought, right, there's no way out for me. I'm going to die. What was the greatest lesson that you learned? He said, the greatest lesson I learned is that if I have fresh water for the day and sufficient food for the day, then I have no right to complain. I have absolutely no right to complain. The third ingredient which Islam gives us to help us to be happy is Islam teaches us how to compare. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Unduru ila man huwa asfala minkum. In matters of deen, look at those who are higher than you. وَلَا تَنْظُرُوا إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَكُمْ. In matters of deen, look at those who are higher than you. And in matters of dunya, look at those who are lower than you. Why? Why did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say this? Because when you look at those who are higher than you in matters of deen, you'll aspire to reach their level. And when you look at those who are lower than you in matters of dunya, it will make you more appreciative. Like Sheikh Sadi rahmatullah alayhi had said, I had no shoes, so I went to the masjid to complain to Allah that I have no shoes. And when I was walking into the masjid, I saw a moin crawling out who had no legs. Then I said, oh Allah, I have nothing to complain about. We'll stop there for today and continue the discussion in the next episode of In Pursuit of Purpose. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.